They're changing the laws and making them up. They lift the police are backing them, the masses bow down. They're fighting the people in the name of the crown, but we are free. This is our country. They're stripping our rights away, one by one, calling the elderly, the sick and the poor. What is it gonna take to say no more? The Anzacs died for our freedoms. They roll in their graves of what we're taking in space. Roll over, play quiet, roll up your sleeve. It's for our country, but how can that be? 'Cause we are free. This is our country. They're stripping our rights away, one by one. They're calling the elderly, the sick and the poor. What is it gonna take to say no more? What is it gonna take to say no more?
Give it up for Jasmine. And Yurko, thank you very much. And Haley, thank you very much, Haley. How you doing out there, folks? Beautiful one day, perfect the next. True, I grew up on a farm, so we love the rain. Any other farmers out there? A few? So, one sec, we're about to bring up the next speaker, but I do commend and acknowledge you guys. I mean, it's not the best ideal conditions, but neither is our country in right now anyhow, so it's probably reflective of the country. Maybe God's not happy either. So, 1 second. So we're going to hear from the Indigenous Party. Lindsay's here with his wife, so can you please... Lionel, sorry. Lionel is here from the Indigenous Party. Can you please give them a big warm welcome?
Hello, my name's Lionel Hathaway. I'm here representing my wife Diane. We're here, we have a sister out in the audience there too, but we're here representing the Indigenous Aboriginal Party of Australia. We're making history this year, and we have a Senate in the Queensland elections. I am the lead Senate there. We have also senators in the New South Wales representatives, and our vision and our goal is to have a representative in each state of our nation, which we believe we will have in the next elections. Just as we were sharing today, I just want to acknowledge, first of all, the first speaker who opened in a word of prayer, and I also want to just acknowledge our Heavenly Father. I also want to acknowledge the Lord Jesus Christ. I also want to acknowledge that His government is increasing right now as we stand here. I also want to acknowledge that the administrator of heaven, the precious Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, has now come down in our nation and is about to bring truth in all areas of the political system that's ruling and reigning in the nation today. And as I come today, I just want to say this, that one thing that we need to do here as a First Nations sovereign people of the land that we stand in today, we just need to acknowledge that the traditional owners of this here area, which I will do right now, if we have any out there now I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for your opportunity for us to come and speak on your land here. I'm from the Birragubba Juru Nation. My wife is from the Camillaboi Nation. And I just want to say to everyone here in our greetings, Waramuli. Have his greetings. So where we come from as in the Queensland Indigenous Nation, Indigenous Aboriginal Political Party, I just want to read this passage of scripture because I believe the state of our nation and where we are today is, I believe, the root cause of it and the solution to where we are today, and to get back on track in building our nation to a prosperous nation. The root cause of it is that our leaders have taken us off the pathway that God has originally set for our nation. And we all know what's happened, the tyranny that's been unleashed. And if anything, it's just gone away from position itself into position where God would originally had planned for our nation, and that our nation would be the great sad land of the Holy Spirit. That's it, whether you know that or whether you agree with it or not. That's God's intention for our nation. And in the book of Proverbs, which is one of the wisest men, wiser than any of the human minds that we have here on earth today, he said this thing. He says, righteousness, moral and spiritual integrity, and virtuous character exalts a nation. So really, what it's really saying, and putting it very simply to you today, is that when we don't put God at the center of our nation, but we don't put God back in his rightful place, amen, we go away where it actually becomes, it said, but a sinner is a disgrace to any people. The word disgrace, it means a shame or an embarrassment. A shame or embarrassment. And unfortunately, it actually brings a curse over our nation, to which it is spiritual. It is spiritual. And we're here today, and we're talking, and we're going for our freedom. Our freedom. I want you all to know today that our freedom is spiritual first. As spiritual first, then it will materialize itself out in the natural, the physical world which we are here today. And when I say spiritual first, the way we get the strategy to get our nation freed from this tyranny is that I'm asking every believer here to start praying, because there's principalities and powers that are ruling in the atmosphere now that are influencing our government, and it has brought us to this place. And there's serious corruption. Serious corruption is what I call it, that's happening in our nation. It's no longer about the people or the welfare of the people. It's about what they can do for themselves and the money that they put in their pockets. And we need to lay the platform right again. So it says here that righteousness exalts a nation. We are a party, the Indigenous Aboriginal Party of Australia. There are 4 words that we put first, that I put first, that I want to just say to you today, that it's the acronym of TRAIT, T-R-A-I-T. It is that we do bring truth. And it's the First Nations Indigenous voice, I believe, one that's in relationship with God, one that has care for all the nationalities that have come into our nation. We do bring truth. We bring truth. So the first word stands for truth. That's in all of the issues that we face as a nation, and especially here at this time in these last couple of years where we've seen this ungodly mandate unfold before us. So it's truth. Acknowledging how much damage, not just the virus, but how much damage has the vaccine done to our people right now. And it's only the truth. And the Lord Jesus Christ, he is the truth. It's only the truth that can set a nation free. It's only the truth that can set a state free. It's only a truth that can set a community free, and you families here today. It's only the truth. It's only the truth. And Jesus is concerned right now over our nation, and he wants to rule and to reign, and his government to increase. The second word is respect. TR, respect. Respect first comes, I believe, for, as I speak here today, is I wonder how many of us freedom parties here today do respect the First Nations voice. We need to get back. We want to work together with you. Amen? We want to work together with you. Unfortunately, the same R stands for racism. We want to remove all of that. Come on, we're all together. Respect one another. Respect one another. Respect our freedoms. Respect. Because it's only walking in unity, walking together as one, that we can see the breakthrough that's happened in this ungodly agenda. A stands for accountability. We will, as Indigenous Aboriginal Party, we will bring accountability. We believe that we have never ever, as an Indigenous person, handed over our sovereignty. We're still the sovereign people of this nation, and God is about to raise up our voices to speak into the nation and set the nation free. So accountability, we will do that. I stands for integrity. Integrity. We will go after integrity in everything that is said and done by any and every political leader, party in the nation. Integrity. You can't say one thing and do the backflip the next thing. Amen? You can't. A-T-R-A-I-T. T, the last word T stands for transparency. Transparency. We will go after, as the Indigenous Aboriginal Party of Australia, we will go after transparency in all the major decisions of the land that affects every family here today. The last part of this scripture that I just want to bring to you, and then my wife might just have something to say also. It says, the righteousness exalts a nation, but a sin is a reproach or a disgrace or a shame to any nation. And we, the First Nations people, we will lift off to the shame and the disgrace that has happened through this ungodly agenda, even going back to early days of unsettlement. I firmly believe the record needs to be made right, and it can be made right as God leads and guides us. The last part of this scripture says, but the King's favour, Almighty God, the Lord Jesus Christ, His favour and goodwill are towards a servant who acts wisely and discreetly. But His anger, and we want to lift the anger of God off our nation. I acknowledge what happened is wrong and is unrighteous before God, and I stand as a First Nation leader representing our people and to those that will identify with us and lifting off the anger that's happened through this ungodliness. But His anger and wrath are towards him who acts shamefully. I want to say this in closing today very clearly, that we are a Christian nation whether you like it or not. We are a Christian nation, and I'm not saying anything to disregard anyone else's religion's belief today, but we are a Christian nation. God has proven it by putting the Southern Cross over our nation. He has proven it by putting one of the largest rocks in the world, Uluru, in our nation that you can see by space today. And it is a promise. It is an indication that He has a plan and a purpose for our nation. God desires to prosper our nation, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
So I'm the better half, as I always say. But yeah, my name's Diana. I'm from Kamilaroi, New South Wales, and I want to say Yama, which is hello in our language. And so the Word of God says, unless two walk together, they can't agree on anything. They can't agree on anything. So unless there's agreement with the First Nations people and other nationalities, we can't go anywhere. We can't go anywhere. We can't put a foot forward without going back. So we need everyone walking together. Not in front, not behind, but together. You know, God created this world. God created Australia, and He has put the First Nations people here as custodians. Whether anyone likes it or not, it's here. We're here. You know, we didn't get demolished, but God kept us here for such a time as this. And I, as a First Nation, sovereign woman, and a born-again Christian, you know, stand here today saying to you, we need to come together as one. We cannot be divided anymore. United we stand, but divided we fall. You know, and God is wanting, as Christians, you know, and those that are looking for truth and freedom need to stand together against this tyranny. We've been living it, you know, from day one. Our ancestors have been living it from day one, you know, but it has to stop today. You know, our land has been desecrated. You know, it's been, you know, everything's just been demolished in our land. But God is wanting that to be right today. You know, and only we as people can make that right. You know, you're either for Him or you're against Him. You're either for us or you're against us. But today I'm asking that we all stand together as one, as Australian people today. Not divided, but together. Thank you.
And lastly, vote 1 and 2, the Indigenous Aboriginal Party in the Senate, please. Thank you.
Give it up for Lionel and Diana. Well spoken. Our next speaker, folks, we've got a great lineup of speakers, and I'm so impressed how well people can speak these days. We have Renee Ease. Let me tell you a little bit about Renee. She's been quite busy. Renee Ease was the first woman to self-represent and take successful legal action against the state of deprivation of liberty. She was part of an inquiry to instigate new privacy laws, and she spent over a decade campaigning for countless social justice topics. And she appears regularly in the media, bringing attention to many much-needed causes. Can you please help me welcome Renee Ease? Thank you, Renee.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi guys, so I'm not running in the current election, but I want to bring a message that I think is very important for you to all listen to and to digest and to pass on. So I fiercely went to battle many times for people who were overwhelmed, outnumbered and overpowered. People who were at their absolute breaking point. And see, no one was too fierce in my mind or too mighty to take on. But the most fierce opponent I ever came across was the corruption and the cover-up and the absolute diabolical abuse of human rights that began when this whole scandemic started. So my message is a little bit different from the candidates that are speaking today, because I lost my very dear friend about a year ago, and in the final weeks of her life we had a chat about the important words that needed to be shared while our country is in complete chaos. So I'm going to share the message with you, because this absolutely is a David and Goliath battle. If you are an independent, if you are a minor party, you are up against the Almighty. I get it. I went to the Supreme Court and sued the government. I had nothing. I had my bank accounts frozen. I borrowed a Keno pencil from a stranger's handbag. So I'm here to spread the message that it can be done. But these are the words that I drafted in the final days of my dear friend Jenny. And she said, Renee, if the world continues this absolute madness, I want you to share it. So here they are. It was 1918 when my great-grandfather, Henry Eves, he sent out the Morse code to end World War I. Now, the Commandant-in-Chief ordered that hostilities on all fronts, they're to immediately cease. But here I am, over 100 years later, I'm sending out a similar message about ending the war. Except the war I'm here to talk to you about, it's the war with yourself. I don't back down. I don't back down. But this is absolutely the fight of our life. And I want to get these words right because my friend's no longer with us, so I want to make sure I absolutely quote her. Operating out of your own comfort zone, it feels foreign. It does, right? It's not supposed to feel natural. But you can't let that dictate the next thing you are going to do. You must get familiar with the idea that something big is about to awaken from within you, and that responding differently to fear, it's like having to learn this whole new language. And you guys know that voice, the one that says, I don't know if I can do this. They're so much bigger than me, so much smarter. What if I fail? What if I fall? What if I completely break? I've heard that one. I know all about it. But I also know those voices are always the loudest right before the victory. And the difference between someone who gets there and someone who doesn't, it's simply the response they give to that voice. Because the real battlefield, it's in our heads. Even if you get a clean-cut target, you don't always get a direct path to it, right? There's going to be all manner of things that come out to deter you. And when it's really dark, they come back to back. See, part of the journey, it's learning how to navigate your way through those obstacles. It's about strengthening your own light in order to find the path out of there. Now, others are going to try convince you all that you have no friggin' chance. What hope do you have if you can't convince yourself that you have a chance? I know what I'm saying here, guys. I've personally been put to the test. Do you actually realise what one determined person can do? Don't underestimate the human spirit. Listen to those voices when they get loud and respond to them like your life and our life depends upon it, because it does. It's okay for you all to fall down along the way. It's okay, everyone falls. But you must be determined to get back up. You must be determined to destroy any obstacle that is standing between you and your mission. And if I could tell you just one thing I want to share that I've learned along the way, it's to trust. Trust that your heart is always pulling you towards a much bigger picture, even if it's one you can't see yet. So I'm sending out the same message that my great-granddad did in 1918, that hostilities on all fronts are to immediately cease. But the war I'm talking about, it's a war with yourselves. Thank you all. Please dig deep. Please listen to yourselves, and please absolutely get out there and support the underdog. I'm here for the independents. They're in the H column, Steve Dixon and Rebecca Lloyd. You might not have seen the independents because as corruption goes, on the Senate ballot, you can't find them. They don't have a logo. They don't have the word independent. I want to know why. Why does an independent not have the word independent on the ballot sheet? There's one question. I'll tell you why. They want to make you invisible. They want to minimise you. They want to groom the public like a filthy pedophile into thinking that that is normal. Let's not normalise the absolute power that is corrupting people that are wanting to get in there and have a go and make a difference. People, please stand together. Forget divide and conquer. It is about uniting and coming together as one. Thanks for listening. Keep it up.
Thank you, Renee. There's some amazing people part of the freedom movement. I think we're on the right side of this war. Would you agree with that? We're on the right side? I'd hate to be on their side. The lie has to get bigger and bigger to contain it. My dad always said, the truth, Jamie, will always get to the surface. And that's all we have to do, remember. Get the truth out there and we win. We have a political revolution in this country and it'll be domino effect around the world. Does it make sense? We're not just the one country that's suffering this. This is a global thing, as we know. So our next speaker is representing also the independents and running in Senate in Queensland. So I'll welcome up Rebecca Lloyd.
My fellow Queenslanders, my name is Rebecca Lloyd from Fair Business Australia. I've been a nanny, a pro singer and a small business owner. I campaigned to protect small businesses from unlawful mandate fines after the 17th of December by a corrupt, wicked and soon to be overthrown government. I fundraised through educational legal packs over $50,000 for a war chest to fight these fines all the way to the High Court if needed. I've partnered with an Aussie team of powerful businessmen to build an Aussie-owned e-commerce platform, an Aussie alternative to foreign-owned Amazon, so that we can keep our retail dollars onshore instead of sending our money to foreign-owned pockets.
Wow.
Yes,
Amazing.
I'm passionate about business
This is about
and
Meet them
innovation,
all.
but what really
Meet them all,
drives me
Southport
is the
Broadwater
desperate need for
Parkland,
justice
just
in this nation.
across from
The
Queen Street.
Queensland Warriors cry out for
And
justice here
there's
today,
lots of people
and every single
down
day
here today.
across
Paul
our
Seals is going to be
sun-kissed
performing
state.
later. Dean Vegas is here.
I perceive the
Jamie
dawning of a
McIntyre,
bright and
MC,
radiant
Claire
new
Flynn
day.
has put all this
The
together.
birthing of a new
Amazing work,
age for our
Claire.
state, yes,
And
even for our great
going
Southland.
to
I
start
refuse
filming
to give in to
soon.
fear. I refuse to
filming soon,
entertain
although
doubt.
Might have a
History has
quick,
shown
quick
that I
chat with
will
Paul
stand
Seals.
for what I believe in, no matter who
Paul,
or what
I'm just doing a
I'm
Facebook
up
Live.
against.
Are you happy to
Your
just
history,
say something on the
Warriors
Facebook
of
Live?
Queensland,
Alright, excellent.
shows
This is Paul
this
Seals.
too.
He's going to be performing later. He's just come back
Freedom
from
of
6
speech
months
has
in
been
the
stolen.
US. So
Information
Paul,
has
how are
been
you finding
suppressed.
it all here today?
Mainstream media has morphed
Good.
into a
I brought
band
my
of public
flighties, so
relations
I'm good.
parties with a socialist
Fantastic.
great
And
reset
now you've
agenda.
released some music.
All around us, corruption
What's
is
been happening for you the
touched
last
on
Yeah, so I
offshore
spent 6
breeding
months. I was
grounds
in the US
that
and
violate our
Mexico.
sovereign
My
rights
last,
as kings
my
and
last
queens
single, Hold the Line,
and
went
as
to number 1 on
Queensland
US
warriors.
country charts.
I believe
Here
the most
way
fierce
this
opponent
like
our
lend
country
support
faces is
for all the
apathy,
independent and
unawareness,
the freedom
and a
parties
she'll be right
coming
late
up for this
attitude.
election. So it's a very critical
That
time. I'm
identity
about to
amongst
speak
our
or
people
perform shortly.
is changing.
And I think
Our
it's probably
state
one of the most
is
important
changing.
elections in our lifetime as far as
Send me
the
down to
ability
that
that the
cesspool
independents
Canberra.
will have to
Send
hold
me
the
down to
balance
those
of power
towns
in the
that
Australian
fight for the
government.
blood of our
We know
children.
everything that has
I
been
will not
working.
back down.
Both the
Send me
both
down to
the
those
Liberal Party and the
vipers
Labor
with
Party
forked
are so
tongues, where every
homogenised at the
election
moment. They're
promise
almost
is
the
moved
same
live,
party.
listening
Did you
with
know
the great
whether
reset
the
poison.
Liberal or the Labor
I will
Party
fight
get
for you as
in
one
for
of
this
your
election?
own.
Both of them support the
Send us
digital
all
ID
down to
agenda.
Canberra.
Right.
We
Yeah.
will not back
Okay.
down.
So which
We will
interfaces
fight
with
for
the
you as
social
one of
credit
your own.
system, with the
We
vaccine
have already
passports,
shown
with
that
the
we
digital
will stand
currencies, all
shoulder
that sort of
to
stuff.
shoulder.
Yeah.
And in the
Fight as
tax
one.
laws, it actually says if you're a
A vote
company
for freedom is
director,
never
it's
a
going to be
wasted vote.
compulsory to get a
A vote
digital
for
ID
justice
as of
is your
October
seat
this year.
for the future
Compulsory
of
for
our
company
little ones and
directors.
for our
That's it.
nation.
So I'll be closing
Your
my
vote
company soon. I'm
will
going to
be
be
heard not only
restructuring
on May
because of that.
23rd,
There's
Yeah.
no way I'm getting
but
digital
across the
ID. So
nation.
if you
No.
don't want
Now
that, then
and for
don't
generations to
vote
come.
Labor or Liberal. Vote the Freedom Party.
Australia is about to
Absolutely.
bring forth a
And what is
world-changing
the best
revolution.
way for people to
The
put
pain of the
down their
last 2
vote
years
on
has been
the
birthing
ballot
pains.
paper?
Well,
I
as long
declare
as
new
there's
life
a
for
website called
Queensland and the great Southland of Australia.
majorsLast.com. If
I
you go to
declare new life for your
majorsLast.com,
businesses,
it's putting all the
in your
major
families
parties
and around your
last.
dinner
Give
table.
all the
I
independent
declare
and the
justice
freedom parties
for what has been
the
stolen and
primary
recompensed
position from
sevenfold
1 to
for what has
whatever
been
number it is,
cheated.
25 or whatever.
May
Yeah.
21st
So
is not
Majors
just a
Last,
federal
have your
election.
vote.
It is a great
MajorsLast.com,
awakening
have
to
your
draw the
vote
line
count.
upon our golden
And
stands.
if people
Against
want to support
wickedness,
you, Paul,
against
where can they go?
corruption,
They
against
can go to
communism, and against
I'm
the great
competing here at the
reset.
moment, so if
We
you go
will
to
never back down. We will never give in.
JNRofficialmusic.com,
We, your freedom
Paul
candidates,
Seals
will stand
Jr.,
for
hold the
you
line.
and for your children.
Thank you so much,
Together,
Paul. Love your
we've
work.
been
Love your
built.
work. Look forward to hearing you
Together,
perform. So
we
Paul will be
win.
up on stage
Will you vote for freedom?
performing.
Across all those that stand
This is
shoulder to
backstage
shoulder
now.
together with
Backstage.
me
So many
today.
people here. It's
If you will
fantastic.
stand with us,
Braving the
send
rain.
a Spartan shout into the atmosphere. This
There we go. I'll show you
is
some.
Queensland. Hoorah! Hoorah! This is Queensland. Hoorah! Hoorah! This is Queensland. Hoorah! Hoorah! We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australians.
Wow. I dare Scott Morrison or Anthony Albanese to take on Rebecca. I dare them. The power is on our side. Wow. Our next speaker has a very difficult task. But let me bring up a Senate candidate, for an independent Senate candidate, and it's so important that we vote. I know it's not easy to kick out the two major parties. Rome wasn't built in a day, but we can achieve as much as we can next weekend. When we have the state elections after that, we'll take Queensland back. There's no issues about that. We'll cut the country in half and take half the country back if we have to. Take it back state by state. One way or the other, the freedom movement is going to have a political revolution. It should have happened when we were in Canberra in February, 500,000 people there. That's the closest this country's ever seen a political revolution. And under normal circumstances, the government should have resigned that day. The days of Morrison left in government, there's about 7 more days left for him, so he's out of there. And you watch the rats jump off the sinking ship. How many are going to resign before the election already have? They know what's coming. Our Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt. So let me bring up to the stage our independent Senate candidate for Queensland, Mr. Steve Dixon.
Thank you very much, and Claire, thank you very much for putting this event on today, and thank you for all of you people coming out in this weather. I've got to come out of the closet today because I actually identify as an independent. On the ballot paper, they won't identify me as anything. It's like going out against the footy team and all these other guys are out on the paddock and they're wearing their jerseys out with their brand on them, and I'm going out stark, bloody naked. And believe it or not, Rebecca and I are both doing that. We are going to make a difference if we get the opportunity to get voted into the Queensland Senate. We are working with all the smaller minor parties because the major parties are destroying this country. It's like a vice. They're squeezing us every day. We've heard about the mandates. We've heard about the segregation. We've all been affected by it. But you know the people that are really, really getting hurt? The ones that have had reactions to this bloody vaccine. I was with a 23-year-old boy and his mum the other day. He had the 2 jabs. Can't talk about that thing, otherwise your live feeds will get knocked off. And isn't that discriminatory? Yes. This young boy, he's had the 2 jabs. He can no longer walk properly, drags his leg. He was an athlete, an aspiring chef. His bowel and his bladder don't work anymore. He falls on the ground. He sees everything that's going on around him. He can't move. You know, and they're telling us it's no bloody effects. It has got lots of effects. We need retrospective legislation put into place. Pfizer, all of these politicians, and particularly the media. Let's not forget them, the people that aren't here today, the unmentionable people who will never give smaller parties or independents the ground to speak in this country. We need to reform media laws in this country more than anything else. Yeah. And I tell you what, you know the great thing that we've got on our side that those buggers don't? We've got God on our side. And I'm going to put my hand up in the air. I am here because Jesus Christ has given us the opportunity as human beings to make a difference, and we will do exactly that. You give us your vote, we're going down as mercenaries to Canberra. We are going to make sure these people listen, and if we don't, our country's gone. Come the 21st of this month, the day after, don't think they're not going to bring the mandates back. Don't think they're going to push the jab on everybody. They've destroyed jobs, they've destroyed families, they have ripped this country apart, and now we've got to say enough is enough. All of these people here today, every single party person or independent that's got up in the States, I'm proud to work with every one of them. And you know what? I preference them all. But it's up to you who you preference at the end of the day. I can't control your hand when you're going to vote. That's your call. So Australia, get behind every single independent, get behind every minor party and make a difference. We've got to get rid of the Labor Party, the Liberal Party, the Greens. They have destroyed our country. Can we make a difference? Yes! Will we make a difference? Yes! I am here, Rebecca's here, every other candidate that spoke today is here. Vote for any of us, because we will go to Canberra and we will do what it takes. I've been a local government councillor. I've been a state representative for 11 years. I've been a minister in government. I worked for Senator Hanson in her office. They're all good people. We can bring our country together instead of tearing it apart. That's the opportunity we've got. Drought-proof Australia. Have cheap electricity. Slow the immigration down for a while, because that money could put people in houses. Stop them from living in cars or under bridges. Bring back our constitution. Constitution that was originally created. You all remember that old Constitution? Where political representatives came from all over Australia. They were independents. They went down to Canberra and they represented you. That's what you'll get from all of these people here today. I'm not here to talk for a long time. We are in column H. Have a look at it. It's the naked box. We're the ones being discriminated against. Just like Len Harris. He's A naked, we're H naked. So we got AH, and the politicians in Canberra, they are DEAD. Let's get rid of them. Come on, Australia, let's do it.
Thank you, Steve. Well said. Thank you, Steve and Rebecca. I like that part about you standing naked. Maybe Steve, not so much, but I'm sure that's a vote winner for certain segments of the population. I was in Canberra. I spoke at the protest rally down there. The one who was in Canberra, 500,000 people there. The mainstream media said it was 10,000. So they can't even lie with statistics. They can't even count. Oh my God, who would support them? Where's Bill Gates? Who would like Bill Gates to come to Australia? You know why he won't come to Australia? Because he'll never leave. If he dare comes to this country, this state, something's bound to happen to him. He'll be enlightened and join the good forces of the world, or be jailed, I think. So our next speaker, who's heard of Ricardo Bossi? We know Ricardo Bossi. So our next speaker is in line with the polls is Ricardo, obviously the Australia One party or movement, and will be running as a independent for Queensland, of course. Yep. So please help him to the stage. Big warm welcome for Lindsay Temple, Australia One.
Thank you. So just a little bit on myself. Is an old family man. I started out on cattle properties, so a little bit of background: bridges, transport. Married 42 years and 10 children. So
Wow.
I connect with a lot of people. I've had 2 daughters that is double vaccinated because of their jobs. BMA was pressuring their workforce to get double vaxxed, so my daughter was in line with that. So it is personal. It's personal for all of you out there. And just to add to that, in my work career, I'm now a full-time carer for my wife. So just wanted to add that. So going forward, the government has stolen your constitution. They've got a corporation in the middle, and they're the ones that have written all the contracts overseas with the multinationals overseas and your carbon credits. We get to rewrite all that. We've got to take back our constitution, and adding to that, we've got to stop also got to stop the killing of our kids, our babies, 9 months, and they want to take it out to 2 years. They don't want to class them as kids, and they're selling the bodies, the parts, as medical waste for money. That's going to stop. The satanic cult in Australia. We're after them. We want to clean that out. My job is to get to Canberra, kick the doors in. That's my job. And the next job is to lock them up. Every politician out there is talking about joining the dots. All the dots they join, but they never mention hanging the bastards. We've got to hang the bastards. They don't belong in this country. That's my job. You just get me there. That's my job. So that's where we need to go. This government has declared war on us. They're killing us. They're killing us, and we don't even know we're at war. It's got to stop. The next job is we've got to try and get medicine to help the vaccinated, the harm, the damage that's coming to our kids, the workforce. We can't even get work cover for people that have followed the companies, get vaxxed, and now they're sick. They can't even get bloody work cover out there. You know what makes me want to hang them even more, the bastards. Okay? So that's my job. I haven't got a lot to say. The message is, lock them up and hang the bastards. That's it. Thank you. And just to add to it, freedom. The second one is sack them all. Thank you.
Sack them all. Truth always comes out in the end, my friends.
So many choices, but as long as we choose the truth, which will be the freedom movement or their candidates, we're going to introduce Paul's going to come and sing a quick song for us.
Yay!
Hold the line. And and then we have several more speakers. We'll finish ahead of schedule today, 11 p.m. instead of midnight. But once you're wet, you're wet. Is that true? And remember, this is going live stream around the country, and obviously even Australian National View have a lot of followers overseas as well. But there's protest rallies, as you know, occurring in all major cities and regional cities today. I'm not sure they're as wet as here. I'm sure Brisbane is probably wetter. Unfortunately, Pauline Hanson's weathered in and is unable to make it today. But we have a host of plenty of other speakers and performers. We have a former X Factor contestant who will be singing later this afternoon as well, and many other performers for you before we wrap up today, and a comedian. So let's welcome to the stage Paul Sills.
Hello, Queensland.
Hello!
It's so good to be back here again. Yeah. So I spent about 6 months overseas in the US. Hold the Line became #1 in the US country charts and didn't get played hardly on one radio station in Australia.
Oh, wow.
This is an interesting time. It's probably one of the most important elections of our lifetime. The independents and the freedom parties have the ability to hold the balance of power. We're gathering to acknowledge all the people that have had the courage, the independents and the freedom parties that have had the courage to stand up and put their hands up, and God bless them, so that they will not be compromised by Big Pharma, by the UN and the World Health Organization, who is trying to steal the sovereignty not only from Australia but from all over the world. So before we get started, I'm going to do the song for you. So I acknowledge all of you for being here. The courage that it takes, the endurance and the commitment to stand here in the rain for the afternoon and listen to these good people. What we're looking for moving forward was the transparency. We're looking for love. We're looking for peace. We're looking for commitment. We're looking for understanding, and we're looking for freedom. Let me hear you say freedom. 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 Yeah. This is our last stand. Now we win this fight. Steady sovereign soldiers, ready through the night. We the people awaken, defending what's just and right. Fortifying our freedoms, one voice for the light. Yeah, hold the line, hold on. Hold the line, be strong, until you hear the victory song ringing in the break of dawn. Hold the line, hold on. Hold the line, stay strong. Hold the line, hold the line, hold on. As the battle rages on, we make our voices heard, facing fallen angels, we speak the holy word, destroying evil forever, never to be enslaved again. Billions of us rising, united to the very end. Yeah. Hold the line. the victory song, bringing in the break of dawn. Hold the line, hold on, hold the line, stay strong. Hold the line, hold the line, hold on. We the people, heart in hand, reaching out across the land, with love at our command. Hold on, hold on. Yeah. Hold the line, hold on, hold the line, stay strong, until you hear the victory song, bringing in the break of dawn. Hold the line, hold on, hold the line, stay strong, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line, hold on. God bless Queensland. See you on the other side.
Awesome job, Paul. Hold the line. So our next speaker is from the AFP party. I think it could be the Australian Federal Police. Is that? Oh, Australian Federation. I didn't think the Australian Federal Police would be here. Or are they? We can see you out there. They certainly were in Canberra, but actually I must admit, Queensland Police have generally been very good to protesters. Not a lot we could say about the Victorian Police, is it true? New South Wales Police. Some of those police should hold their head in shame, and remember, if you commit a crime and don't get charged and sentenced for it straight away, doesn't mean you won't one day. Is that true? All these politicians that have pushed the jab on people, they've publicly stated and pushed the phase 3 experimental drug and told you it was safe, effective and necessary. They're caught on camera. They have committed the crime. It's just a matter of how much time before they go to jail. But that day they go to jail, we'll be very happy. So let's welcome Michael Smith from the Australian Federation Party.
Friends, patriots and lovers of liberty, we have been ignored for too long by those in power who have treated us with contempt and have sold out our Commonwealth to unaccountable interests overseas. We have gone from the best country in the world to a nation that is struggling at all levels. Our society is hurting, my friends, and in dire need of healing. Our people are suffering because of the short-sightedness of governments led by either the Liberal National Coalition or the Labor Greens Alliance. The organisers of this event today, and I thank them for organising this event, have made it clear that the only way forward for Australia is for the minor parties to step up and walk into Parliament, but we need your help to do that. So keep telling your friends and family why they should vote for a minor party and preference the other minor parties. Explain to them that the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over while expecting a different result. Voting for any of the big four is akin to insanity. Voting over and over and expecting a different result. They don't care about you. They don't care about us. Look at the Labor Party. When was the last time they sincerely stood up for the workers? They brought in economic reforms that destroyed Australian jobs, and now they claim that they will bring them back. I'd laugh at that claim if it wasn't such a brazen, hurtful lie. What about the Liberal Party? When was the last time they truly did anything with benefit for small businesses and entrepreneurs? They cozy up to large corporations who benefit from the status quo, while mum and dad businesses struggle. How many small businesses have gone under over just the past 2 years alone? The Greens don't care about the environment. They would rather indoctrinate your children into being brainless automatons that exist purely for the benefit of the state. Hello, Big Brother. The Nationals haven't represented farmers or rural folk since 1996. They simply exist as Liberals in all but name. Think about it. If you still aren't convinced, let's look at the leaders of the Big Four. Sneaky Scott, whose manoeuvring over the past 15 years has allowed him to rise to prominence even faster than John Howard managed. Then there is Agro Albo, who once said, "Fighting Tories, it's what I do," as if it were a badge of honour, but now can't even commit to supporting an increase in wages. There's arrogant Adam, the leader of the Greens, who would rather incite hatred than try to bring healing. And finally, there's barking Barnaby, who's known more for his peccadillos than for his performance on the Treasury benches. All of them are utterly unworthy, and they must be turfed out on voting day. Nearly 80 years ago, and I say nearly because the day after polling day, next Sunday, will mark its 80th anniversary, Menzies delivered what is arguably the greatest speech in Australian history. He appealed to the forgotten people, the aspirational middle class, and despite the length of time since then, we now find ourselves amidst yet another forgotten people. The financial stresses of contemporary living have turned our middle classes into the working poor with no easy way out. Instead of a generation of entrepreneurs, we have people choosing the workforce over building a business. Instead of a generation of happy and healthy people, we have the unhappy and disenfranchised. Instead of prosperity, we have poverty. Instead of property ownership, we have rent and mortgage stress. What is the solution? The solution is to throw out the professional class of politicians and apparatchiks, most of whom have never worked a real job one day in their lives, and replace them with people who have real-world experience. People who have the knowledge and the will to improve our nation. The Australian Federation Party has a covenant with the people, which you can find on our website. But to outline it simply, we will hold a town hall public meeting every month where constituents can ask any question about how we are serving them. We pledge to personally run democracy training sessions so that people can learn how they can participate in the system. And we also pledge to vote independently of our political party if the party policy is not in alignment with the needs of the people that we represent. All of the people here are patriots. All of the people here have stood up and said enough is enough. But we need to spread the message out to everyone. We need to tell all of those people who think that they're wasting their votes if they vote for a minor party. We have the power. Our preferential voting system ensures that a truly democratic system can be affected and that we have true representation. Everyone needs to vote for the minor parties together and encourage everyone to do that. Change is here. Freedom is a privilege and not a freedom is a right and not a privilege.
Thank you.
Well spoken. Thank you, Michael. So we have one more Senate candidate, and then after that we get into lower house candidates, okay? And as I promised, we'll be finished by midnight. I promise, okay? Of course, those who couldn't make it here today, we welcome you in on live stream wherever you are, sitting in your lounge room, comfortable, rugged up, nice and warm. But please think of us out here, okay? So let's welcome up our last Senate candidate, independent candidate for Queensland, Deborah Ewell.
You've got to leave the best till last, don't you? No man, woman or group thereof has the right to initiate fraud, force or coercion against any other man, woman or group thereof. Libertarians and freedom lovers, this is my creed and I will apply it to any matter brought before me as a senator, and I will oppose any legislation that contravenes it. For way too long, our political focus has been on increasing control and limiting the rights of individuals. Thousands of willing, skilled and qualified people have been mandated out of the workforce. Many essential services and businesses are unable to provide the service levels demanded. And now we're importing people to work and we're giving students jobs that should be going back to our stood-down workers. If you've survived all this and are paying off property, when you finally pay it off, you no longer get a title deed because the Queensland government has conspired with the other state governments and had them destroyed. The information is held by 3 private companies. You can't do an FOI on a private company. And it's held in binary code. There are already people in Canada and in New Zealand in jail because they've used the system to defraud people of properties. You have no way of proving ownership. Our health system is so badly broken that our GPs are no more than agents for Big Pharma. Currently, the concept of the family doctor is dead. There's a bias against advocates of so-called alternate health, organic foods and healthy lifestyles. They've become increasingly marginalised by the highest bidder in the food industry. Big Food has a much bigger budget than your local organic farmers, and they want us to believe that their packaged products are good for us, and yet they're jammed full of unnatural additives. No wonder we're all getting sick, not just from jabs. Our ability to speak out, to hold an opposing point of view, is being stifled by social media giants and those that believe in the nonsensical view of political correctness. I'm over political correctness. Are you? Safety and caution is the mantra, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Heaven forbid you should heaven forbid you should offend someone by speaking your truth. Critical thinking and independent research in schools has been replaced by rote learning. We do not have critical thinking in this country. We cannot have a reasoned debate. All we seem to have is name slinging, and we need to be able to communicate with each other. We need to stop indoctrinating children. We need to stop distancing them from their parents. They should be learning to question, to learn, to understand, to critically think. We should get rid of the surveillance that we have. I don't know if you've noticed on the Gold Coast here, in the last 2 years, the amount of cameras that have gone up is absolutely insane. We've got tracking, who you meet, where you go, what you buy. Even on the highways when you're travelling, do you know that they're reading your car as you go past each entry and exit, so they know exactly where you are? So digital ID is probably my big hot button. I'm absolutely vehemently against the introduction of the digital ID. Friends and those alike, this is a world we will no longer accept. We will not have our phone assume our identity and be our money source. But we have to remember that we let this happen. We forgot that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We forgot that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I stand with you for a new freedom, and I ask you, if not me, who? If not now, when? I'm in box A on the big long white ballot paper, and along with the people in box H, we don't have any names on there. We're a very lonely blank little box, but if you would like to vote for me, you can put a 1 or a 2 or a 3 in that first box on the ballot paper. I commend you all for being here today and for standing up for what's right and for showing the Gold Coast, for showing Queensland that even when the rain comes, we're still going to be fighting.
Thank you, Deborah. Well said. And isn't it true? Political correctness is really about censorship, isn't it? You might offend someone, you can't say that. Yeah, well, I'm not a very politically correct person. Who else out there is over political correctness? We should never be censored and don't have to be. That's why dump Facebook and join truthbook.social, I say. Where you won't be banned for speaking the truth. It's actually so liberating. You can actually say the word vaccines, COVID-19, and not be banned. It's amazing. I'm very excited. We have some amazing talent lined up for you. And I want to introduce, from The Voice, Carlos C. Major here to perform for you. Give him a big hand. Come on, a huge hand, a huge wet hand. Wiggle those umbrellas, up and down.
How are you guys? You wet? Very wet. Awesome. That's usually a good thing, but not today. So I'm going to come in I'm talking for the normal people out there. You know, I was very ignorant to all this stuff not too long ago. And I'm a musician, I'm a singer, you know, what do I know about politics? What do I know about real life, you know? But since all of this crap has happened, I'm sure for you guys and for a lot of people, you know, eyes are opening and minds are waking up and people are asking questions. And my question was, what's the truth? You know, what's the bloody truth here? Because there's so many lies. And so I've got a voice. My voice isn't to speak so much, my voice is to sing. And so I sing about truth. And I'll tell you a quick little story. I had some friends who were at a lunch and I was leaving and it was sunset. So it was a beautiful, beautiful time of night. So I looked up and there was all these colors in the sky. But what I saw was all these chemtrails everywhere. And I looked up and I was like, guys, look at that. And they all looked up and they said, wow, that's beautiful. And I was like, are you crazy? You don't see all these lines? Like that, they're not clouds, they're lines. Like, and that just made me realize, wow, we're really in a world where there's not a million truths. There's, you see it or you don't. And that's it. There's two flips of the coins. There's not many. So you either see what's going on here or you think, nah, just get the jab, mate. It's all good. Just believe it. Nah, mate, nah. So I wrote this song. I released it about 3 days ago and it's called Life is Beautiful. And the caption that I wanted to really get from this is for the people to ask their question, is life beautiful or be you the fool? And here we go. Hope you like it, guys. The sensation of the truth up against my heart, flowing freely deep within my soul. The vibration, their fingertips are plucking on your string. Lose yourself within, for life is something that we do not know. For those who are blind, life's beautiful, so beautiful, like stars in the skies, so beautiful, it's beautiful when we open our eyes. Beautiful, is it really beautiful? Whose world, whose lives, they're beautiful. Life is beautiful, it's beautiful. Is it really so beautiful? Or are you the fool? Close those eyes, those ignorant eyes. The temptation in this world, it overtakes my drive, keeps me numb and searching for the high. The devastation, corruption eating slowly at our minds. They've lost themselves within it. The world becomes a place we cannot hide. Oh, for those who are blind, life's beautiful, it's beautiful, like stars in the sky, so beautiful, it's beautiful when we open our eyes. Beautiful, is it really beautiful? Whose world, whose lives, they're beautiful. Life is beautiful, it's beautiful. Is it really so beautiful? Or are you the fool? Close those eyes, those ignorant eyes. It's beautiful. This life is really beautiful. This rain is really beautiful. Life is beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. This song is out now on YouTube. I only released it 3 days ago, so please check it out. Carlos C. Major, Life is Beautiful. Give it a like, and hopefully we can wake some people up. And that's my mission from now. Every week I'm going to be releasing a new song. Songs about truth, songs about reality, songs about what's going on right here today. So please share it and use your voices. I'm only encouraging everyone else to use their voice. So thank you very much, guys. Can I do another one? You want to do another song? All right, let's do it. We're going to pick it up a little bit, all right? Help me sing it. Get up, stand up, hey! Stand up for your right. Whoa, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Everybody say, get up, stand up. Nice and loud. Whatever you say, get up, stand up. And we won't give up the fight. Hey, preacher man, don't tell me that heaven is under the earth. I know that you don't know what this life is truly worth. They say all that glitters is gold, but half the story ain't never been told. But now we see the light. What we gonna do? Stand up for our rights. Hey, get up, stand up, go. Get up for your right. Sing it loud, say. Whoa. Oh, you say yeah. Get up, stand up. We just get up for your right. Get up, stand up. Well, yo, don't give up the fight. Most people think the great God will come from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, we will fight for ours on earth. Cause now we've seen the light. What we gonna do? Get up, stand up, sing it loud. Stand up for your right. Whoa, get up, stand up. Hey, we don't give up the fight. Thank you, y'all. Say, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. At the back, say, get up, stand up. Oh, don't give up the fight. Hey, I'm sick and tired of the ism schism game. Die and go to heaven in Jesus' name, Lord. You can fool the people sometimes. You can't fool the people all the time. Because now we see the light. We're gonna stand up for our right. Hey, and yeah, now we see the light. What we gonna do? Everybody say, get up, stand up. Oh, yo, stand up for your right. Freedom has a voice, it sounds like this. Get up. Oh, yo, don't give up the fight. Guys, can you sing it with me? Get up, stand up. GAP, you say, get up for your right. Oh, get up, stand up. Oh, y'all say we don't give up the fight. Hey, we don't give up the fight. Oh, don't give up the fight. Everybody say, don't give up the fight. Everybody here, all the politicians, all the people that are running for Senate, don't give up the fight. Use your voices, people. All about truth. Thank you. Love you.
Awesome. Give a huge hand, Carlos C. Major.
Give up the fight.
You're the voice.
Lots of love to you.
Wow, I'm excited.
Come on down.
And like Scott Morrison and Anthony Albanese, do they ever get excited?
Opposite Queen Street at the Broadwater Parklands.
So we have some more entertainment for you before we then hear from the lower house candidates. And what we're going to do with the lower house candidates, we're going to get them all up on stage at one time and pass the mic. That will speed up the time so you don't have to spend as much time in the weather, but also make them speak faster like they do on TikTok, you know. So let's welcome all the way from Vegas, Big Dean Vegas. Is that Bris Vegas, Las Vegas, or Gold Coast Vegas? Welcome to Dean Vegas.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. All I can say is what a wonderful turnout since it's bucketing down. Thank you so much for each and every one of you. And there is nothing that I can say that hadn't been said and will not be said this afternoon, so I'll get straight to it. I was thinking, what song could I dedicate to corrupt politicians? So I came up with 2 songs. One was You're the Devil in Disguise, and the other one, which I'll probably sing later, is the Jailhouse Rock, because that's where they're going to end up when this all comes to head. So this is called Devil in Disguise. Sing it with me. I hope you like it. You look like a Polly. You walk like a politician. Walk like an angel. You talk like an angel. But I got wise. Your turn. You're the devil in the sky. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in the sky. Oh. You fool us with your kisses. You cheated on your scheme. Heaven knows how you lied to us. You're not the way you seem. Everybody, you look like a Polly. Walk like a Polly. Talk like an angel. But we got wise. Everybody, you're the devil in the sky. Oh yes you are. Devil in the sky. Ooh. I thought that I was in heaven, but I was sure surprised. Heaven help me, I didn't see the devil in your eyes. Look like an angel. Walk like an angel. You talk like a corrupt politician, but I got wise. Everybody, you're the devil in the sky. As you are, the devil in the sky. Oh, this is where I do the overshot like this. Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're all black. Come on. Everybody, you ready? Devil in the sky. You're the devil in the sky. Oh yes you are. Devil in the sky. Oh yes you are. Devil in the sky. Oh yes you are. Devil in the sky. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong, we got some good politicians out there. That was for the corrupt ones, and there are plenty out there, as we all know. So God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank you,
Vegas, legend.
It's not this wet in Vegas, is it? So we have just a quick announcement. Someone's car, I believe it's a grey car near the Freedom Truck, is blocking one of the trailers that urgently must leave. So if you have a grey vehicle and it's parked over there somewhere, please can you move it? That would be great. So I'm going to bring up the next speaker, and we've got some more amazing live entertainment for you after we wrap up with all the lower house candidates for you, so stay tight. So welcome to the stage from a candidate from IMOP, Timothy. So we want to give Timothy a big hand. I'll hand it over to Timothy. Give him a big hand.
Hello everyone. I just want to start by saying I am so proud of every single one of you here. We're all struggling in the rain, we're all suffering, but only united can we put this through. Now, all day we've heard stories, policies, campaigns, speeches, but I really wanted to just use this time to talk from the heart and tell you about my experience. So although you can't see, I have a traumatic brain injury. When I was a boy, I was dragged under by a car and it cracked my head open like a watermelon. Now, when I heard that these vaccines were giving adverse reactions, primarily neurological complications, I thought, you know what, I'd rather not take this. So I followed their advice, I trusted the science, and I spoke to a neurologist. Not a GP, a neurologist. There is no one higher than a neurologist. Off the record, of course, because if they talk, they get deregistered. They said, do not take it. So I talked to another neurologist, and another neurologist, and all three said, do not take this. Even the TGA recognised that it causes Bell's palsy. So I wrote to the state government and said, can I please have an exemption? In which they replied, there are no exemptions. No one gets them. And they also said, which we now know is a blatant lie, everything is federal. It is a Targi policy. It is federal policy. The state government said that it was a federal problem, and the federal government said it was a state problem. They have all been lying to everyone from the start. How many people got the jab to protect the vulnerable on the lie because the vulnerable can't take the jab? I've dedicated my entire adult life to helping people with trauma and disabilities to live a better life, and now I am no longer allowed to work in healthcare. I can't go to hospitals. I can't work with people on the NDIS. People are suffering. We know that these lockdowns are causing trauma. DV's through the roof, and I'm not even allowed to help them. I've been saying from the start, an attack on informed consent is an attack on all consent. And I provide one word for the people: treason. And I've worked out a legal way that I can get a treason charge. Enough with the words, enough with the royal commissions, enough with we'll do better next time. There will be no I am only following orders. There will be no we didn't know. Until we get a federal ICAC, or until these people are actually held to account, nothing will change. It is now up to you. Let's do it together. Stay dry, stay safe. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Timothy. We appreciate your kind words. I was about to announce a One Nation candidate, and he said, I'm actually from the United Australia Party. And I'm like, whoops. Yeah, so what we're doing now is we're finished with the Senate candidates. Thank God! That's what you're thinking. But Senate above the line is where the minor parties are going to have the best chance of having a balance of power. So the Senate candidates, it's very important to vote for them. Lower house candidates, which makes it very difficult for minor parties to break the duopoly, because you have to win, how many seats do you have to win in the lower house to form government? Who can tell me? You have to win a majority of seats, and there's 151 seats, lower house seats across the country. So you must win a majority of the seats, which is 76. Makes sense? If you win 76, you can form government in your own right. You don't need to go into a coalition with minor parties, independents or Greens. Make sense? The polling right now, according to Australian National Review, our polling is very different to the Australian. The Australian newspaper, I think yesterday, was saying Labor's likely to win 80 seats. The Liberals are likely to lose 11 seats that they currently have. However, we know with the polling, they poll people that watch conspiracy theory channels like mainstream media, that watch the idiot box and listen to idiot politicians. So that's the only people that are really polling. When we do polls, Australian National Review, which is independent media, then we get a very different story. There's not a single person that follows what we do in independent media that is willing to vote for Labor, Liberal or Greens. It's fascinating. Okay? About 30% of the Australian population are people that are part of the freedom movement. To create a political revolution, we only have to get that to 45%. Already the primary vote for the two major parties this election will be the least primary vote they've ever had. And it's going to be less than they're expecting, and mainstream media is always putting their polling higher than what it is. Is that good news, yes or no? Yes. So our ultimate goal, and this is why the lower house is very critical as well. One, it would be great for the lower house candidates to be able to win some seats, okay? It's a hard task to do, but it's possible. But in the Senate, we're going to have power. What we ultimately want to try and achieve is to have Labor not win 80 seats, to keep Labor's vote down to below 74 seats, okay? If we keep it below 74 that they win, then they're going to get one Green will probably win, so they'll give them 75, they'll still be one short. Then they've got to bribe or coerce or do a deal with independents or minor parties to form government. Make sense? So we actually want Liberal and Labor to be quite close, so it's not one the other. Then it's more chance for the minor parties to have to be, if it's a hung parliament, then they have to come begging to the minor parties and independents and say, will you form government with us? And then we can say, sure, but here's our conditions. Here's what the deal's going to be, such as end vaccine mandates. You all have to go to prison. We're going to clean Canberra out and create a new national capital city. And a few other things you might have some suggestions for as well. Just banning, protecting national sovereignty, etc. A lot of these voters have been talking about. So I'm going to welcome up our first Lower House candidate, not from One Nation, but this one from Nathan O'Brien from United Australia Party. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Jamie, and I want to firstly congratulate all of you who are standing here in the rain and who are standing full stop. Like everybody, we've got to make a stand, and this is such a critical election. In fact, it is the most important election of our nation's history. So I want to encourage every one of you over this next week, especially every single person that you're speaking to, make sure that you're pushing back, you're challenging everybody you speak with, and just ask the question, who is it that you are voting for? And if you're still undecided and standing here, make sure that you spend the time and look at some of the other parties that are here and their candidates, and myself included, and look at why we're standing. We cannot afford to have an Australia that we've been living through over these last 2 years. I said recently at another function that COVID hasn't rendered Australia to its knees. It's our incumbent governments, both federally and state, and it's time that they need to be moved on. I moved my family to the Gold Coast here recently, about 2 years ago, and the Australia that I've been watching my two kids grow up in is not okay. We grew up in a country where anything was possible, and we've been a blessed nation, and we need to ensure that it remains that way. And the only way it's going to remain that way is if we do value what we have and we stand like we are here today. So I think as well we need a big round of applause for the organisers of this event. I'm fascinated as well that here we are during an election campaign and the heavens have opened up the way that they have. I don't have enough proof, but I don't believe this is all just natural. It feels very man-made and concocted to me. So look, I want to encourage everybody, those of faith, this is a time to be praying. Those who need to stand, please just stand. But look, I just want to encourage every one of you to keep doing what it is that you're doing. As Jamie mentioned, I'm from the United Australia Party. I'm standing in the the seat of Fadden, and we just need all your support. So long as we stick together as a freedom party, as the freedom parties, that's half the battle. Practically, the United Australia Party, I'm going to run through just a few quick things. The very first point of order when we get to Canberra is to ensure that we see a Bill of Rights installed, because we've discovered that our freedoms are not protected. The second thing we want to do is address our debt. We're now nearing $1.3 trillion of debt, and that is going to affect every one of us until it's addressed. That is over $1 million. We want to see a 15% excise license placed on all of our iron ore exports, so our trading partners address and retire our debt, not Australians. The incumbent government has no plan except to labour us with that debt, and that's not good enough. So we want our trading partners. We've got 75% of the growth that's taking place in Asia right now is off the back of our nation, and we need to start to benefit from it. Until we do, it's going to create non-stop troubles for us. Isn't that my wind-up? So, look, please keep standing. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, I'll be at the yellow tent in a few moments' time. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So our next lower house candidate is the candidate for One Nation, Sandy Roach. For Fadden, the election of Fadden as well. Fadden, I think, starts just probably 500 metres that way. There's the border, goes all the way up to Yatala. So it's one of these Gold Coast electorates. So if you want, because I know many people around this country are part of the freedom movement, don't have the luxury of being able to vote for a freedom candidate. But the good thing, and well done to One Nation and United Australia Party, they have a pretty much, I think United Australia Party has every electorate. I think you guys have 149 from memory. 149 seats out of 151, so pretty much anyone in Australia is able to vote for One Nation. One Nation will do very well next Saturday. That's my prediction. United Australia Party will also do very well, and the Freedom Movement will, Liberal Labor will do the worst they've ever done. But let's hand it over to Sandy Roach, One Nation candidate, Lower House for Fadden. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you, Jamie. And a thank you to Claire and GasCan for organising today for us. It hasn't been the best of weather, guys, but hey, thanks for coming out. And I am Sandy Roach and I'm running for Fadden for One Nation. And I have put my hand up because I wanted to see these mandates lifted. I have been to all freedom rallies up in Brisbane, down on the border, and I stand for our freedoms. I am over government overreach and it needs to cease. So you've all heard from Malcolm Roberts this morning and where One Nation stands. So I'll give you a little bit about my background. I decided to run last year when they started to shut the borders down and said that I couldn't go and see my children that lived in New South Wales. And I've travelled the world, and I was like, you know what, where are our freedoms going? If we don't stand up now, then who will and when? So I put my hand up, guys, and I just decided that was it. I'm going to do this. I can't sit on the sideline any longer and just complain, but do something actively. So so now I'm running and I stand so that you guys can continue to live in freedom. I want this government to change. It is time. There is not just two parties in Australia. There are a whole heap more, guys, than just Labor and Liberal. And it's time that the Labor and Liberal government understood that. And so with the things that we're going to do, I want medical coercion lifted. I want to see people that are being mandated off their jobs, the nurses, the teachers, who I have good friends, and
here we are at Southport Broadwater Parklands, and you can see behind me we've got a great turnout here, even in this crazy rain, which is probably caused by cloud seeding, I would imagine. They don't want people out rallying for freedom, do they? No, they don't. No, but hey, we're standing here regardless. All these people at the end of Queen Street towards the Southport Broadwater, actually right on the Broadwater Parklands here. And it's happening all afternoon. Congratulations to Claire Flynn for putting all this together. Jamie McIntyre has been emceeing. We've heard some amazing performers and speakers, and you know, you're either awake or you're not, my friends. You know, once you see the truth and even get a glimpse of the truth, you cannot help but question everything. Question everything, and that's what I always encourage people to do, having worked as a journalist for many, many years, in fact over 20 years as a journalist. I have seen the media programming that has happened firsthand. I've seen it behind the scenes, and it's been very interesting times, that's for sure, what's been going on in Australia in the last 2 years, and in fact right across the world. Very interesting times, and the people have had enough. People have had enough. It's hard to believe that there's such evil it's this evil elite that are ruling how a lot of things are done. And you might want to look up Bilderberg Group. You might want to look up some of these elites that there's only a few of them. There's only like a microcosm compared to all the rest of the people on the planet. And incredibly powerful as human beings. We are incredibly powerful, and the powers that be in this egotistical world that we live in, the powers that be in that world are incredibly evil, and it's hard to believe so many pedophiles in government and you know, the child sacrifices. Look up Pizzagate. What's happened to Julian Assange is absolutely shocking for revealing the truth. Just look up Pizzagate. Just do your own research. Look at places like BitChute, Rumble, brand new Tube. Facebook and YouTube are not going to give you the truth. They have fact checkers. Okay, they have fact checkers, and Do your own research with everything, my friends. Do your own research. Make an informed choice for yourself. And don't say we didn't tell you, okay? If you've got people dying around you from side effects from the jab, well, don't say we didn't tell you, we didn't warn you, right? We've been warning people all over the place, and unfortunately, some have not been making it. 3% death rate, they're saying, with the jab. We've seen a lot of side effects, seen a lot of people die. It's been very sad indeed. However, you know, it is a battle of the minds going on here. We are spiritual beings having a human experience on this planet, and you know, you are incredibly powerful, and you do not have to do everything you're told like we're conditioned as children. Just watch the Out of Shadows documentary if you want to know more. In fact, I have some amazing documentary links that are in a new Facebook group I've started called Conscious Community Global. There's Thrive documentaries in there. There's Samadhi. There's an interview I did with David Icke back in 2016 that you'll find in there. It's all featured in that group, Conscious Community Global. If you want to find all the links or connect with me personally, check out linktree, linktr.ee/Aldwin, linktree, linktr.ee/Aldwin. Okay, and reach out, connect on social media, hang out with like-minded people like this. It will give you faith in humanity. There are some phenomenal people in the world that are doing amazingly to stand for our freedoms, and you've seen just a handful of them here. There are so many more. You are not alone. If you are thinking maybe there's just a little bit of fishy business going on the last 2 years, and maybe some things just don't add up that you're being told in the mainstream media, well, if that's you, you're definitely not alone. There's a lot of people that are with you on that, and it's important that we unite. We unite now and come from a loving space always, right? Loving space always, because hurt people hurt people, hurt people hurt people, and there's some sick puppies running the world right now. However, there's also a lot of amazing people doing phenomenal things. So congratulations to everyone here standing for the freedom parties, for United Australia Party, One Nation. There's a lot of amazing freedom parties. You'll see them in the flyer that I put on my Instagram. And you've heard from just some of them here today. And here's the crowd from the back.
Who are this year? So a little bit about me. My name's Kevin Hargrave. I'm the One Nation candidate for McPherson. I was born and bred on the Gold Coast. I've been a successful businessman for more than 40 years.
My friend Kevin Hargraves is on now. Let's go see what he has to say.
Smaller, smarter, more efficient government. Get rid of the bureaucrats. Less red and green tape. And we need government that's honest, transparent and accountable. We don't have any of that anymore today. It's gone.
No, that's right.
So that's what we're about. Now, I've been out in the community talking to people over the last couple of months campaigning, and I think the 4 biggest issues everyone has is mandates, our Australian debt,
and the Liberal
China,
Democrats are not Liberals, by the way.
and our digital ID,
Liberal Democrats are not Liberals.
which we don't have yet. And let's hope we can stop it. So, mandates, the first one. We need to end the mandates immediately. I just think it's so important. There's so many businesses around this country, in McPherson as well, but around the country that have gone broke. People have lost their houses, they've lost their families, they've lost everything. Because they closed them down pretty much. You know, how would you like to invest $1 million in a nice business and it gets closed down? You probably borrowed $500,000 or $600,000 on it against your house. You've lost a lot. It's crazy. Now we need to end the mandates. We need to get all those people their jobs back who've lost their jobs, the teachers, the nurses, etc. And we need to compensate them for their loss. And we also need to hold the people accountable. Must be done. It's a must. So let's move on to our national debt. 1 trillion is at the budget. I'll bet you it's a lot more than that today, but they're not going to tell us. So we've tried to buy votes with, not One Nation, but our fearless leaders have tried to buy votes with bits and pieces here and there. Nothing. So how are we going to get rid of the debt? Well, if we get rid of lots of bureaucrats that are costing us anything between $700,000 and $1 million each, there's a lot of money. What about all our resources? We've sold them all off. We've sold our Darwin Airport. We've sold everything. I think Pauline Hanson said the other day, $56 billion in gas went out of Queensland last year. No tax paid on it. All the money went to China. We got $330,000 for royalty. What a deal. That's our country. They've sold us off. It's a disgrace. So I believe they say that they're going to take, 30 years. Oh, I'm going to say than that. It's going to take them 30 years to get rid of the debt. I reckon we can get rid of it in 5 years, and I know how, because I believe that this country should be run like a business, and if it was, none of us would be paying any tax. We'd have the life forever. Businesses would thrive, families would thrive, and the country would be the country that we deserve to have. I think they're winding me up. I was just getting going. Sorry, guys. I just want to say, if you're in McPherson, tell me, and if you want to talk to me, I'll be here for a while. And McPherson, one nation, is going to take this country to where it needs to be.
There we go, Kevin Hargraves.
Thank you, Kevin. Just getting wound up, huh? For yours? Good. Our next lower house candidate for McPherson is for the Liberal Democrats. Now, I know when some people hear the word Liberal, they think it's a Liberal Party, but Liberal Democrats are part of the freedom movement. They're not the Liberal Party. They're not aligned with the Liberal Party. They actually don't even like the Liberal Party. I interviewed Campbell Newman. Some of you know Campbell Newman was a former Premier of Queensland. And you know, he used to be a Liberal supporter. Like he said he even had voted for Morrison. He said I'm now ashamed that I voted for Morrison. I no longer can understand the Liberal values and parties because they no longer defend the Liberal values and the idea of what the Liberal Party was meant to stand for. So Campbell Newman is a big part of the Liberal Democrats. We have Glenn Pine here. Welcome up, Glenn, from the seat of McPherson for the Liberal Democrats. Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Glenn Pine. I'm the Liberal Democrats candidate for McPherson. You probably noticed as I walked over here that I have a limp. The reason is I have double amputation. I'd like to get that out of the way as soon as I can, because normally with politicians you can't tell what their disability is until they open their mouth. So you know what mine is. Everything else will be honest with you. When I was growing up, I grew up with a disability. I had one leg amputated. I was told, I went to become a school teacher, and I was told, oh, I don't like your chances of getting a job when you get out because you have a disability. And I thought, oh, then I don't want to do that. So I went off and did something else. I went and studied something else. I ended up as a teacher anyway. 40 years later, 40 years. So if you're 20 years old or you're 25 years old, I probably taught, not you, but your parents. Okay? So I've been around education for a long time, and I want to talk to you today about that. I'm watching, there's a few little kids. I had our little carers out here before as well. Guys, education has changed in the 40 years I've been doing this. It has changed dramatically. We used to debate at university as to whether society educated kids and decided what society was, or did families educate
Freedom candidate
and decide what
Broadwater
characters. That debate doesn't exist anymore. The government has decided, our government has decided that children are there and that they belong to us, and we want to educate them the way we want our society to go. And what that means is sexualising 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, changing all of the values that we had, all the values of family, right? Families are the backbone of democracy. They are the backbone of it, and if they try and destroy your family, if they try and get in there, and they do, because they've been doing it for 40 years trying to get in, and they've just about succeeded. You need to get rid of people like skate schools and Ross Ward. We need to get rid of anybody who does that. Things have changed, guys. I'm sorry it looks like it hasn't, but it has changed. And these governments want to take your children from you. And I don't want that to happen. They said I couldn't be a teacher. I've been teaching for 40 years. They said they wanted me, somebody else said I should go and work in a screwing bottle caps on a thing. I have 4 advanced degrees in education. I've been teaching for this long. I'm a Paralympian, and at 18 I decided to have my legs off, right? So if you want someone in Canberra who's not going to put up with the crap, who's going to stand there and say, you're in my way, move, then I'm the man that you should send it to McPherson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I love the power when people speak from the heart. Haven't been missing from Australian politics for a very long time.
I'm going to wrap up here.
Do we have another candidate for McPherson?
Congratulations to everyone involved in today, to all the people standing for our freedoms.
Welcome to Joshua Berrigan.
Love your work. There's the guy from The Voice behind me. Did
Thank
an
you.
amazing song before.
So good to have everyone out here today. I've been working in our community for the last 15 years as a chaplain and as a pastor.
Alright, I'm going to wrap up. Thanks so much.
But my wife and I made a decision at the start of January for me to resign and do this full time as a volunteer, because we realised this is the best way we can serve our community right now. We are desperate for change and we want to do everything we can to be a part of the solution. And I tell you what, in McPherson, we are going to win this election. We are going to win this election. There is no doubt in my mind. You've heard Glenn up here, you've heard Andy, you've heard Kevin. These guys are the real deal. We are going to win this election because we have representatives that aren't going to control people from the top down. We have representatives that are going to serve you from the bottom up. We're going to listen to what the challenges are that people are facing, and we're going to stand up for your rights. We're not going to take away your rights. Government is meant to protect your rights. And this is why I am standing. This is why these guys are standing. And I tell you what, a Freedom Party is going to win the election. Karen Andrews is not going to win this election. Now, I want to ask something of you. We've got 7 days. You're all heroes. You're here in the pouring rain because you already know something needs to change. You already know. We're already on the same side. But what I want to encourage you is we've got 7 days to change this country. Polling started, voting started on Monday. Liberal and Labor, they want pre-polling to go for 2 weeks because they don't think the minor parties have enough people on the ground, have enough volunteers to hand out how to vote cards, to win votes. They want it to go for 2 weeks because it's another one of their tricks to rig the election. It's amazing that we're all here, but can I encourage you, we need to be at pre-polling. We've got people coming in on their 1 hour lunch break, chucking a shirt on, handing out cards. Every card you hand out is a vote. Your vote on election day is important, but the votes you can win at pre-polling multiplies it by hundreds. So can I encourage you over the next 7 days, speak to as many people as you can. Go and see some of these guys at our tent. Come and see me at the tent if you haven't already signed up to help with pre-polling. Be there on election day handing out cards because we need to, together we can win this. It's not on us, all of us together we can make a change. So I encourage you, talk to your neighbours, talk to your friends, recruit some people, let's hit the pre-polling booths, let's make sure the Freedom Parties drown out the major parties and we will win this. Come on, let's go.
Well said, Joshua, and it's a very important point that you highlighted. So they do, all these minor parties, independents need help on polling day. Not just to be a scrutineer, but be there and to help with the how to vote cards, etc. Plus, it's going to be very entertaining because there's going to be Liberal, Labor and Greens there, right? And they're going to be trying to hand out their cards and they're going to cop so much abuse because there's people out there who are so fed up with them. It's going to be classically entertaining to watch. So you want to be there handing out how to vote cards for the people that speak for the truth. So whatever minor party you want to support, but they do need your help. Because the big part of winning an election is the grassroots, people on the ground supporting on the day. And you've got nothing better else to do on Saturdays, is that true? So next Saturday, rain, hail or shine, be there, help, just choose your best party or go and hand them out for all the Freedom Parties. For all of them. Okay, so our next speaker is United Australia Party, a lower house representative for the seat of Bowen. Bowen is Brisbane electorate, Redlands, Bowman.
Okay.
really going to wrap it up now.
So
So many amazing people speaking here today. Thank you to everyone who is standing for our freedom. Lots of love to you, and please stay connected. Connect with me on Linktree, linktr.ee, linktree/Aldwin,
I just want to say that vaccines are real.
love to stay connected. The Conscious Community Global is fantastic. Facebook groups has a whole lot of life-changing links in there. If you haven't seen the Thrive documentaries or Out of Shadows or the Samadhi documentaries, you will find them all there.
Every patient
in Southport Broadwater,
what their vaccine status was.
right here at the end of Queen Street. If you're up at the other end with the big amphitheatre, then you are in the wrong area. It's further south, okay, just opposite Queen Street. Alright, lots of love to you. Thanks for joining me today. Maltene signing out from Meet Them All, and all our freedom candidates coming together here. Shingles, oh yeah, my dad had shingles, side effect of the jab.
Blood clots in their eyes, in their lungs, in their legs. There was a man that turned up with a blood clot from his groin to his toe. I had 4 early miscarriages in one shift. So, you know, it's unbelievable to me that Queensland Health are telling their staff that this is safe. It's not safe. We know now that they haven't done the testing, and they are continuing to lie not only to you but to their staff. I tried to tell some of my colleagues last year, and I got unfriended. I got disassociated from. They didn't want to know. The level of propaganda and brainwashing is next level inside Queensland Health. It is on steroids, and these people are so brainwashed, they are believing that Queensland Health have got their best interests in heart. They don't care. They don't care, they're just collateral damage, just like me. You know, I shouldn't have survived that second shot. I shouldn't have survived. I'm not really sure why I did, but I put up my hand because when they started coming for the kids, that was it for me. I'm a mum of 4 kids, and there is no way they are going to come for my kids. So you guys need to hold the line. Do not let them come for your kids. Never. Go and meet your local candidates. There are so many good people out there that are standing up for you and your kids. The next election, next week, is the most important of your life. Make it count and take these bastards out.
I agree, bastards. Next weekend, teach them a lesson. But this Saturday, I was in Canberra at the protest rally for those in there in February, and the night before out at Epic Camp, and this lady come up to me, and because some people know that, you know, what I do with Australian National Review, and she said she had just such a sad story. Her 24-year-old daughter had just been double jabbed Pfizer and had died 2 weeks before, and this government would not even let her body be released, and so they could have a funeral. They didn't want to release because they don't want autopsies. They don't want autopsies, because autopsies will prove it's from the vaccine. Does it make sense? We live in a country under a medical apartheid where Pfizer has a contract agreement with nations around the world, including Australia, that the government must cover up vaccine death and injury. They also pay your Channel 7, 9, 10. Ask them, go and email them tomorrow or tonight and say, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 10, ABC, are you receiving money to cover up vaccine death and injury? Are you receiving money to push these safe, effective, necessary vaccines upon the population? They're not going to tell you what they are. So say to your friends that listen to the Idiot Box, why, if you listen to the Idiot Box and Idiot Box TV presenters interviewing idiot health ministers, what do you think you're going to become? We can't let idiots vote in an idiot politicians. We need people to know the truth. And I know the truth is sometimes much harder to swallow, and that's why people don't want to swallow the truth, because some people don't want to know how bad it is. But until we accept that, then there's light. Spring always follows winter, is that true? And we are in a winter. and we may go into deeper winter before we get to spring. But remember, spring will always follow winter, and these bastards will pay. Raise your hand, make some noise, you agree these bastards should pay. Because what they've done is wrong, and that's why I admire these people. Because many of these people don't want to be politicians, but they've had to take a stand, and they're putting their careers, everything got a hold to go out there and represent you guys. So, and I know you'll appreciate that, because it's not easy to go into politics. It's not easy to go into that circus and speak the truth. So with that saying, let's bring up another freedom warrior. Give a big hand to Chris Grease. He's an independent running in the seat of Ford. Ford is in the area at Beanley, Upper Coomera, Beanley. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for coming out today. A great segue talking about the truth. That's one of the main policies I'm going to bring up. So a little bit about myself. I'm a truck driver normally. I've been a mental health carer, single dad. Now I'm married to a lovely lady who's my wife, which I'm really fortunate to have. So one of the main reasons I'm here at the moment is our government seems to go along with an agenda that's really, it's hidden from the people a lot. And we don't have any option to find out what they're pushing through with these bills. So what I'm proposing in our area up there is when I get in, I want to set up a portal so every bill that gets introduced to Parliament gets introduced to everyone that lives in Ford to have access to the full complete bill in layman's terms and its entirety, all sub-clauses, all bits related to it, for easy viewing, instant viewing, and for instant yes, no, or amend. So what we're trying to do is make the transparency come through right from the people that are writing the bills at the start, knowing that 100,000 eyes are going to be reading every single bill. And I'm going to be down there representing the will of the people so we can get the majority rules going again in a consistent fashion. It's super important. We've been running along for so long without any idea of what's going on. We've got no idea on how they're voting on full-term abortion. We've got no idea on the bills they're putting forth to sensationalise COVID with our mainstream media. We've got no idea of any of the bills that they're really pushing through that are affecting all of us. And their idea is to make it so that that's the way, so we have no option to come at them. And they like to keep us isolated and fighting these individual battles by ourselves. And it comes along to these unelected officials. You know, it's not always the Chief Health Officer, it's TMR that are trying to take people's houses in the wetlands. It's TMR that are trying to take people's houses out at Peronia Heights. They just rock up on your door, they're unelected, they've got no recourse, they've got no accountability, and it's about time we had someone in our government that's got the intestinal fortitude to stand up and take control of this country and say, what, enough's enough. We're going to stand up and we're going to tell the states what's going on, because after all, we are one nation called Australia, and I'm sick of the way they keep dividing us. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm over it. I'm making a stand for it. We need support from you guys to get out there. We need to make sure that everything's available for everybody to see. We need to get rid of all these backroom deals. We need to know that if 85% of my electorate up in Ford are against something and the government's pushing for it, we can go down there and say, what the hell's your agenda? You know, this isn't what the people want. This is quite clearly what the people want. And it's time that that goes to an end. The way that these corporates, they keep pushing all this government money towards corporations, you know, there's easy solutions. We're losing our morals and culture in this country because everyone's being pushed into childcare centres instead of getting access to their grandparents. Now, our grandparents should be taking the time to take our kids out of these 11, 12-hour days they're doing at these childcare centres with these unelected people brainwashing our children into things that we have no idea about. We need our children at home with our grandparents, learning our morals, our values. You know, we learn how to grow things, how to fix things, how to put the bins out for our neighbours. We've really lost everything from the foundation because since we've been a corporation for 20 years, everything's gone to the top 2% and our Commonwealth's been absolutely screwed. We get absolutely nothing for our people, and it's time that the top 2% come back down to the reality of life and know that the Australian wealth is for the Australian people to be shared evenly amongst us all. So what we're pushing for is the independence. We get a real bad rap, you know. I'm self-funded. I took on work cover for the last 2 years. I was victorious in my claim. I'm going to Pac-Man the government and use what they gave me with my work cover to come against this government who doesn't even have the time of day to ring me up when work cover kicks me off my claim and he's too busy down in Canberra. So you know what? There's enough's enough, and I know that they're really forcing everyone to be working 2 jobs, to really just be smashing along with debt diplomacy hanging over our heads. We can't risk standing up or we're going to lose everything, you know. They gave me the time to put up the fight. I'm putting my name out. I need you guys to help support. One of the real things we're struggling with up in Ford at the moment is scrutineers, because a lot of the people that are handing out these how to vote ballots, how to vote cards, they're the ones that are going to be doing the counting on the nights up in our electorates. So the people down here are making the effort that really care about where we're going with these countries We need you guys in there from 4 o'clock on election day. We need you in there making sure that those 1s and 2s aren't going in those Labor and Liberal bins, that every one of these freedom parties are having a chance. You know, I hope that we're not, I really don't think we're taking the attention off each other. It's the one hill we're fighting, all us freedom parties. We're pretty consistent in what we're pushing for, but all we're doing is taking different avenues of attack. So as long as each one of us gets up to the top of the hill, it's really not super important which one of us gets up there. It's super important that one of us gets up there. So that's what we're pushing for. Make sure we get our major parties last. No exceptions at all. Let's really tack the direction that this country's going in. You know, we need to get around and build this Commonwealth up and build our communities and our families and take the power away from the top 2%. If we can get our families and our culture and our morals and our country going again, we're in with a real chance. We need your support. If you've got the time on election day from 4 o'clock, volunteer for someone to be a scrutineer. We really, really need to know what's happening with these elections, and we need to know that it's a transparent system. That's the main thing I'm pushing for, is transparency in government, so that we can have some youth looking up to someone in government, because we know what they're telling is the truth. We need to be able to ask obvious questions. We need platforms to be able to do it, and without that, we've got no hope in hell of ever getting anywhere. So it's up to everyone this Saturday to take a stand, put the major parties last, and any one of the freedom fighters up the top, because any one of us that gets to the top of that hill is really going to change the direction of this country. So thanks a lot for everyone coming down in this weather and braving it all. Appreciate everyone's commitment to our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your words. We have just a few more candidates for you, and then we'll be wrapping up. But we'll have some entertainment for you. So you can, after we finish, the sun will probably come out, and we'll hang around. We'll have some entertainment for you. Come and speak to the candidates, all their booths, have a chat. And some of the Australian National Review reporters are here. They would love to talk to you people that know how to critically think, know what's going on in the world, and have passion, honest integrity. That's all you guys. They want to hear from you. Okay, so if you're happy to be on camera about today, share your viewpoints. Wayne is there, one of the A&R reporters. Ryan is here. Come and chat to those guys. So our next lower house candidate is for the Moncrief area. If I say that correctly? Yeah, that's correct. Moncrief. Now that is this area. We're standing in the Moncrief electorate, Southport area. So all the way from the One Nation Party, Leanne Schultz.
Thank you. I'm Leanne Schultz, and I'm standing up with One Nation for the seat of Moncrief. First of all, I'd like to thank the organisers of this event, because it gives you the opportunity to hear all the wonderful candidates that there is. There's so many good candidates standing up this year. And why they're standing up is because they've had an absolute gutful of our government dictating to us. And we need to end our mandates, and we need to let our people go back to work. We've got people coming in from overseas taking our jobs. They're not just buying our land and our food resources, they're coming in here and stealing our jobs. I have learnt so much in the last year that I decided to stand up. But it's absolutely criminal, and these people should actually be in jail that are running our countries. They don't give us any transparency. I've just found out a couple of days ago, a friend of mine, one of her friends died, or her friend's relation died in jail down in Melbourne. And during the investigation you find out that the people that run these prisons are contracted from over in England. Like, what is wrong with us? In New South Wales, some of the prisons are run by American companies. What's wrong? Like, I can't understand it. A lot of the employment agencies and the people who work in Centrelink and do all these things, they're actually contracted overseas companies. Just like when we had the Commonwealth Games, they contracted somebody from overseas to design our roads, like as if we haven't got any engineers to be able to steer traffic around a small town like this. They brought somebody from Scotland who designed the roads for the Olympics in London. And then when they do the closure of the Olympic Games, they get in an American company, and they couldn't even do a good job. You know, I can't understand why our governments give our work to overseas companies. I've been in the manufacturing industry all my life, and I have watched it shrink and shrink because they've sold us out and the unions haven't been there for us. So anyhow, you know what I stand for, and I'll be in there fighting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Leanne. We don't doubt that. You'll be fighting. So our next Lower House representative is from the right electorate, as opposed to the wrong one. The right electorate is from the back of the Gold Coast. I believe it goes all the way out towards Toowoomba. So quite a big electorate. He's from the One Nation party. One Nation, as I said, will do very well in this election because they have, I think, 149 out of 151 electorates covered, which is very critical. So please give a big warm welcome to Keith Urban Hicks.
Hello, hi, good to see you. Okay, that's it. I'm out of here now. I'm out of here. I could keep going, but time for me to head out. So thanks again to everyone who has supported today, to all our freedom speakers and freedom seekers out there, and particularly big shout out to everyone who has braved the rain and this crazy weather. Crazy weather. Well, it's beautiful in some ways. Like the trees are happy, the plants are happy. It's definitely got its pros, the rain. However, if you just end up a bit wet, hey, clothes can always dry. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Stay connected at Linktree, linktr.ee/Aldwin, and I'd love to connect with you on social media. And do your bit next week with the Australian election, and I suggest vote for some freedom parties unless you want the same old that we've just had for years, which is so much corruption, so many lies we have had. Time for some truth, and the truth always comes out in the end. And here we go, the rain's just coming down again. So there it is, all behind me there. All happening here at the end of Queen Street at Southport Broadwater Parkway. End of Queen Street. If you're up the other end where the big amphitheatre is, it's not up there, it's down here. Alright, thanks so much for joining me. Lots of love. Take care of yourselves. As Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And as I say, shine bright and light up all those around you. Lots of love. Bye for now.